There comes a time in the careers of some in this House when they stand too close to the edge, when they play with fire, when they fly too close to the sun. And to continue in that astronomical metaphor, we have a Chancellor who has truly thrown herself headlong into a colossal black hole entirely of her making. The Chancellor, Mr. Speaker, has trashed our economy. And she will blame anybody but herself. The OBR, the legacy, the Conservative Party, Donald Trump, Brexit, whatever it is, as long as it is not herself. And yet we on this side of the House know the clear truth. We know exactly what has happened to our economy. We know that we had a government that, when it was in opposition, said that there was no way they would be putting up taxes left, right and centre, and yet within a few short months they had done precisely that, layering up taxes on businesses, destroying growth, at the same time as talking down our economy, the fictitious £22 billion black hole, which ironically was debunked as not legitimised by the OBR at the behest of the party opposite themselves. We know that this party has borrowed colossal amounts of money, is due to be spending around £500 billion more than the plans that they inherited. And what has been the consequence of that, Mr. Speaker? It has been elevated inflation. We now have the highest inflation in the G7. The IMF tells us that next year we will once again have the highest inflation in the G7. And the consequences of that, through monetary policy, of course, are that interest rates will be higher for longer, bearing down on those who have mortgages, businesses who wish to borrow. And critically, I will in a moment, critically, when it comes to our burgeoning national debt, which is soaring under this government, the costs of servicing that debt are now running at £100 billion a year, rising to £130 billion across this Parliament. That is twice what we spend on defence. Indeed, if government servicing of our debt was a department of government, it would be the third largest in Whitehall. And none of that money, Mr. Speaker, is going on public services. It is simply going to pay off the creditors who are owed money as a consequence of the profligacy of the party opposite. And I give way to the honourable lady.
Thank the honourable gentleman. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the honourable gentleman for giving way. And would he agree with me that Liz Truss's disastrous mini-budget impacted on working families up and down this country with astronomical mortgage interest rates that they're still struggling to fund at this point in time?
I think, Mr. Speaker, we'll take no lessons from the party opposite when it comes to the mismanagement of our economy. What I have just set out has led to a Chancellor that had a budget back in the October of last year, in which she blew all the headroom and more, rebuilt it in the spring, and is now, as we all know, heading into this budget on the 26th of November with a gaping black hole that she will have to fill. That is due to economic incompetence. And it is causing huge uncertainty, Mr. Speaker. I speak to businesses up and down the country. None of them know what to expect. They're all fearful about the tax rises that are yet to come. And that is down to this Chancellor. And what are the consequences? The consequences are that we have the highest level of unemployment in 4 years. And just with every other Labour government, we always know in history they leave office with unemployment higher than that which it was when they came into office. In the retail, hospitality and leisure sector alone, 90,000 jobs have been destroyed under this government. Young people bearing the brunt of these policies. Under us, Mr. Speaker, youth unemployment fell by around 45%. Under the last Labour government, it rose by around the same amount. And this government is on course to do that. And young people are particularly, I will in a moment, young people are particularly affected, of course, because the national insurance changes are not just an increase in the rate, they're a reduction in the threshold. And that affects young people desperate to get their first job, that foot on the career ladder, the most. And I give way to my right honourable friend.
Thank you. I'm really grateful to my right honourable friend for giving way. And does he agree with me that in such a short period of time, what the opposite benches are showing out, that it's they that cannot be trusted with the economy and the future of this country, and it's time they woke up to the reality?
My right honourable friend is absolutely right, Mr. Speaker. We see it in inflation. Inflation running at twice the Bank of England's target or thereabouts, twice or thereabouts that they inherited under us on the day of the general election, and within that, food inflation rocketing up at over 4%, damaging and impoverishing the very people that party opposite claims to want to stand up for. And I will give way.
Very grateful to my right honourable friend. Does he agree with me that we also see it in hypocrisy? For example, cabinet ministers who say build, baby, build, whilst at the same time writing letters to the Mayor of London trying to block homes in their own constituency.
Yeah, very good point.
The right honourable gentleman makes, as usual, a characteristically poignant point. There is another act of damage that this government has created, and that is that some of the most successful high net worth wealth creators in our country have simply gone. They've left. It's estimated 16,000 have gone over the time that this government has been in office. Socialists will say, who cares, good riddance. But they should dwell on this. The tax paid by that 16,000 is probably equivalent to between 1/3 and 500,000 people on average earnings. Hard working people up and down our country paying the price of Labour's policies. And Mr. Speaker, there are choices here. It does not have to be like this. We can actually reduce taxes if we get on top and control government spending. At my party conference, we set out £47 billion of savings across government, including £23 billion in savings across the welfare budget. What did the government do when they came to try to tackle the welfare budget? They showed us that this is a dad's army of a government with a Captain Mannering of a Chancellor. No match even for the rabble behind them. We know that we need to have responsible tax cuts, Mr. Speaker. That means they need to be funded and they need to lean into growth. And that is why we have announced that were we in government, we would be abolishing stamp duty on primary residences. This is one of the worst taxes in our tax system. The OBR states that a 1% increase in stamp duty will lead to between a 5 to 7% decrease in the number of transactions. And yet, on this government's watch, the stamp duty due on a home valued at £300,000 will have doubled during their time in office. And I will certainly give way to my right honourable friend.
I'd like to thank the Shadow Chancellor for giving way, and he's making a very powerful speech. And is he aware that recently in the Treasury Select Committee we were given evidence by a range of tax specialists, all of whom endorsed abolishing stamp duty?
Yes, and can I thank my right honourable friend for the excellent work that she's been doing on the committee, particularly when she chaired that committee in the last Parliament. So, Mr. Speaker, I will give way to my...
I'm very grateful to my right honourable friend for giving way. Would he agree that this government is not only taxing young people's jobs, it's also taxing young people's chances of owning a home by its increase in stamp duty, its increase, rumoured, on the capital gains on principal private residences?
My right honourable friend is absolutely right. The reason why we need to abolish this tax, Mr. Speaker, includes the fact that it stands in the way of younger people getting onto the housing ladder. It gums up, to use the words of Paul Johnson, the entire system of house purchasing in our country. In fact, he said, and I quote, "Stamp duty may look like a taxation on wealthy people who move house, but it also acts to reduce effective supply for everyone, and that includes first-time buyers." I give way to my honourable friend.
I thank my honourable friend for giving way. He's making an excellent speech. Does he agree with me that it also gums up mobility so that people are not able to move? As they lose their job under this Labour government, it makes it more expensive for them to move house to find another.
My honourable friend makes exactly the right point. It does exactly that. It stops people moving to where the work is to get better jobs, to further themselves. Who wants to move to one place, pay stamp duty, then move to another to pay more stamp duty, to move to another to pay more stamp duty? It does not add up, and I will give way to my honourable friend.
I'm grateful to the Shadow Chancellor for his point. Is he aware of the study done by Jackson Stocks, who looked at people who are 55 and over to see how much abolishing stamp duty would help move the market along, and that in its estimate within the first year that would be 500,000 people, second year 1.4 million people, so significantly allowing people who want to downsize to provide more homes for their families while freeing them up. This is a real blocker. Does he agree with me that that study is really useful to show the power of this policy would have?
My honourable friend is absolutely right. Look, this is a blocker, Mr. Speaker, on the aspirations of families who are growing their families, who simply want to find a home with more bedrooms within it. And they can't find those homes often because empty nesters, those for whom the children have left home, are not prepared to face the huge, eye-watering stamp duty that is involved. And the other, I give way to the honourable gentleman.
I thank him for giving way, but is it reality not that the reason why people can't find homes in England is because his government failed to build them when they were in power?
Well, Mr. Speaker, we built 2.8 million homes since 2010 and 1 million in the last Parliament. It remains to be seen how many homes this government actually builds. But can I say, Mr. Speaker, another huge advantage of abolishing this tax is it will generate more transactions, which means more plumbers, electricians, more builders, designers, more estate agents, surveyors and conveyancers actually getting to benefit and local economies thriving. Above all, Mr. Speaker, abolishing this tax increases the effective supply of housing, and that means a fairer society and a stronger economy. And I give way to the honourable gentleman.
Very grateful to the honourable gentleman giving way. He talks about the huge advantages. Is the Shadow Chancellor aware that if you own a home worth £2 million, under his proposals, you will be benefiting to the tune of £150,000? This is a tax cut for millionaires. Is that right? Is that what he wants?
Well, I've already appraised the honourable gentleman of the fact that on his watch, 16,000 high net worth people have left this country to the huge detriment of our economy. And you cannot tax your way to growth. And we have to abolish this tax right across the piece. That is recognised by think tanks right across the political spectrum. Indeed, the Institute, I will momentarily, the Institute of Economic Affairs says abolishing stamp duty is the single best reform that any government could make to Britain's tax system. But the Resolution Foundation, which may be more to the taste of the honourable gentlemen and women opposite, says of stamp duty, it is, and I quote, one of the most economically harmful ways of raising revenue. That's a simple fact, and I give way to my honourable friend.
Thank you. I thank the Shadow Chancellor for giving way. Will he also accept the fact is now that the housing market is virtually stagnant, moribund, and the houses and flats that we want to see built in this country are not being built, but one of the barriers is because the cost of stamp duty is so high that individuals don't want to pay it.
My honourable friend is absolutely right. I've already set out the figures from the OBR, the estimate that a 1% increase in stamp duty means a 5 to 7% reduction in transactions. It is a horrendous and terrible tax, and it remains to be seen later whether the members opposite choose to defend it or not. I give way to my honourable friend.
The Shadow Chancellor has been extremely generous allowing me to intervene. I was just reflecting on the point made by the member opposite. He talks about millionaires getting a tax cut. We're talking about young families getting on their... Does he agree with me, Will, that while they engage in the politics of envy, we will always engage in the politics of hope?
Yes, absolutely. My honourable friend is absolutely right. And as Paul Johnson, formerly of the IFS, says, and I quoted it earlier, it's important, then in quotes, that this will reduce the effective supply. It also acts to reduce this tax, the effective supply, for everyone, right across every age, right across every income section of the income scale. So if only Parliament, though, and the secretary, the parliamentary secretary, who I see is not in his place, who's a former director of the Resolution Foundation, could show at least some backbone and at least agree with his former self and the quote that I read out from the Resolution Foundation. The facts are, Mr. Speaker, they're very clear, that the government should support this motion today if it believes in growth, if it believes in a fairer society, and if it believes in a stronger economy. So, Mr. Speaker, as we approach this budget, through a period of great uncertainty, the Chancellor faces a clear choice, a choice between still higher taxes or controlling spending and getting taxes down, between continued anemic growth or getting the size of the government under control, between continued anemic growth and getting it under control, between jobs destroyed or getting people off benefits and into work, between doing the right thing for our country or simply ducking the challenge. We on this side of the House know what must be done, even at this late stage, to save our economy. Perhaps even the Chancellor herself knows, deep in her heart, that we are right. Yet is it not the truth, Mr. Speaker, that faced with the serried ranks of obstinate delusion arrayed behind her, she is just too weak to act? No plan, no backbone, no wonder under this government we are staring into the abyss.